It's Friday night, and welcome to the Fancaste, episode 18, where we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff, and just hang on. So with me tonight, all the way from the main show in the Midwest, is Mr. Kendo Slice.
Coming at you live from Cape Kendo.
And the man east of us, Mr.
And the least of us.
Perhaps not the least of us, Ligamil Pro.
Bubba dubba dub dub. I'm a fucking retard, Morty. Fucking hate it.
You hate it?
Really? You hate Rick and Morty?
Nah, I just hate its fucking fan base. Oh my god, how can
Oh,
you
yeah, no, I could see that.
Yeah, well, hopefully if there's somebody in the chat in the comment section who's probably pissed off by that remark, they'll probably let us know. Hey, at least we get more viewership, right?
Hey,
Yeah.
we have more subscribers than another show. So, So episode 93 was obviously the most recent one. We could go back to 92 since we didn't talk about it. Now, last week we did an impromptu, Kendo and I did an impromptu episode, which I think at the time we were called 16 and a half, and I was like, screw it, we're making it 17.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a great time. We saw it was a I guess you could call that a video cast. I'm not sure what they call it on Facebook, but a live feed for Frankenthug, which I actually looked at that link today that because you can pre-order it. I think I've actually already ordered it. I told Nick I'm gonna have to go through my PayPal account because it was like back in September you could get it for $12 and it was going to expire soon, but it's still only $12. So this is over and above their Indiegogo, which is really just to get enough money to get the marketing and get it. It's all shot. It needs to be edited. It needs to be advertised. They want to do a premiere. The Plaza Theater down in Atlanta is a great place for independent movies, and that's where they want to be, but it's not free. So anybody that's in that Atlanta area, when they get it in there, it's also obviously where a previous movie that Nick worked on that is now the movie that shall not be named.
Nope.
But they've got a bar. You can buy alcohol, wine, liquor, beer. It's Atlanta, so Georgia has no limit on stuff. But so it's a great. I like the theater. It has a lot of character. It is obviously an older theater. Has the old seats. Looks like a stage. We also talked about that with Dan because he was there last March for that premiere, and it's a nice time. So we'll put the links below, obviously, in the description. And think about giving some money for the Indiegogo and buying your copy of the CD or DVD, I should say. And
we did.
Put that link. Okay. So, and I'm going to double check. And if I haven't, then I'll buy it. And if maybe I'll just buy it again. And so we have lots of Star Wars stuff was covered in the last episode, and a lot of Star Wars news over this past week. Mainly the big trailer dropping, and it's. And I'm getting all kinds of messages. Sorry. So I'm gonna keep talking. So my thoughts on the trailer. I thought overall the trailer was it was a good, it was a well-made trailer. But I've been here before with the new Disney Wars movies. I thought the Force Awakens trailer, especially the last one, was really good, and I was excited for the movie. And then I saw the movie, and I was like, "Holy cow crap!" If you want to know the day I saw it, I've got a video I did the day I saw it. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. So then Rogue One, we had a great first trailer, and it was. I thought, okay, we've got a kind of a warish movie, maybe kind of something like a Dirty Dozen. And then the second trailer came out, and I wasn't as excited. And the third trailer came out, and I'm like, wait a minute, what happened to the first trailer? Because it's a very different movie. I finally saw it on video, and I was like, ugh. So I am beyond reserved. And I'm also not blind like a lot of fanboys are. I've been trolling them on that on the trailer comment section. It's really hilarious how they defend it. And I can see in almost every scene that's shown, not obviously every scene, but in at least 60%, I think it's higher than that. I'd have to go back and count. I can see something, not a parallel to Empire, taken straight from Empire. The tone, and people say, "Oh, it's just the walkers." I'm like, no, you're not looking. You've got this a planet where it's all salt, as opposed to the Hoth with the. So you have an assault on a rebel base. You have Kylo walking through like Vader did. It's more than just echoes. It is parallelism, and I really don't believe the director when he says it's not Empire, because you fooled me once, shame on you. You fooled me twice, shame on me. So
It's just lip service. That's all. Just lip service.
yeah.
Try to get people in the door.
So LMP, we know Kendo's thoughts because we talked about it on the show. What are your thoughts on that trailer? Or you haven't seen, or did you see it? I can't remember what you said.
Well, honestly, I think I'm going to take the James Rolfe stance on this. I honestly could care less if it's going to be a good movie or a bad movie, and I'm just going to not watch. I'm not even going to watch the trailer. I'm not going to watch the movie. If by some miracle I find myself in a situation where, I don't know, maybe somebody's watching a movie or something, and I don't want to be a dick and tell them to change the channel in the future, and I watch it, whatever. But I really don't care about Episode 8. I really don't care about its trailer. It's just, I really don't. I just don't care anymore.
Yeah, the music was good, and I saw actually in the comments that it's not John Williams' music, what we're hearing.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know. I haven't been able to verify that in the trailer it's not, that they're actually saving that music for the movie. But supposedly he did some of the music for The Force Awakens, and I've watched it twice, once in theaters and once when I did my drunken rant afterwards. And, I have a pretty good stereo system here with, surround and all that crap. And here and in the theater, I barely noticed the music most of the time. It was like it was just kind of weaving, but it wasn't. In the original trilogy and in the prequels, the music was one of the characters of the movie. It really helped set tone. It kind of built suspense, built different tension and stuff. And this one, it was like, oh crap, we forgot a soundtrack. That's what it feels like. It's just kind of like someone added in a layer somewhere, and it has no real big reflection on the movie at all. So, yeah. I think Dion said he liked the trailer. And I agree, it's a good trailer, but we've had two movies now that have had good trailers that were not great. I'm kind of glad that Jeff is slowly kind of coming around on Rogue One of it. I think it was good in that TFA was so bad, but as you start to, it doesn't have any rewatchability.
No.
You start seeing it again, it's like, oh wow, I didn't even, that movie again could have. Still, like I've said before, I want to see the movie that was made for the first trailer, because that actually looked interesting. I think they took out all the danger. They took out the suspense of will they make it or not. I mean, obviously they make it. It's not so much as a Rebel Spies anymore. I think it should have been more like a Mission Impossible all the way through. Not this, they finally put the war in Star Wars. I'm like, what the heck do you call blowing up Alderaan? Right? What do you mean the war in Star Wars? We've seen the war. This should be like in, around, and underneath the war is how your spies steal the plans. So we've already had the frontal. We had the frontal assault at the Death Star to destroy it. We had an Empire. We had obviously the Empire chasing them and blowing up asteroids looking for them. And then Return of the Jedi is pretty much just half the movie is the battle, I think. So you have two assaults going on at once. But anyway, so the other thing, I had a question. because everybody's talking about Rey and where she came from and what's she doing. And so here I put it. My theory of who Rey is she's either a Porg or made by the Porgs. Because they're supposed to be Force-sensitive creatures. So maybe they all sat around with Luke and created her.
Wait. Is that a thing now?
That's awful.
What, the Porgs?
No, not the Porgs are a thing.
Both. The Porgs are awful, and that theory is awful. God, that's
I know it's probably worse.
I wasn't asking the theory. I was asking about the Force-sensitive thing that the Porgs.
No, they're supposed to. My understanding is they're supposed to be sensitive to the Force. That's why they're on that island.
Ugh.
I don't know what I'm cooking for dinner.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't make that up. Hopefully that's a rumor and it's wrong, but this is part of why they're there. It's as good as any other. So one of the things I did have, and I did see a lot of people asking about this, when you watch the trailer, when they have the little shot of Chewie in the Millennium Falcon cockpit, and they pan over and show a Porg screaming, the Chewie looks awful.
Yeah, he does. I noticed that too.
Too young. I don't know if he's CGI or some combination of, because I know they got a different actor in the suit. Because Peter Mayhew can barely stand. I get it. But the suit, he looks too young. He looks too shiny. It's kind of like the CGI Yoda in the prequels. It's like, oh God, go back to the puppet, please.
Yeah, I noticed that when I saw the trailer because I was watching the football game and everything, and Jeff's like, well, you're going to watch, let me know when the trailer's going to come on, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, no problem. And so the trailer came on, and yeah, that scene, like when they got Chewie, I was like, Chewie doesn't look right. Something about Chewie looks fucking awful.
Right. So, and I don't want to watch it 1,000 times to figure it out because, even when I get alerts on that someone's commented on my comment or whatever, replied to my comment, I'm starting not to go back because every time I do now, it used to be that it would just pop up and stop. Well, it keeps playing and it slowly scrolls down to where your comment is. I'm like, no, I don't want to give this trailer any more views than is necessary. But yeah, there are people who are saying it's only got the walkers, it doesn't parallel Empire, you're full of crap, we haven't seen this movie yet, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but we've seen 2 other Star Wars movies, and they've been horrible. So I have 0 expectations for this one, and maybe I'll semi-enjoy it. I mean, I know we all crap on Suicide Squad a lot, but that movie was semi-enjoyable to me because I had 0 expectations. Right? Going in, I knew it was horrible and where the problems were, so I wasn't surprised when it's like, oh yeah, the tone of the movie will just completely change. And it was an out with my daughter and my wife too. That was also made it better than it could have been. But yeah, this movie, if it doesn't parallel Empire, then why come out with a teaser trailer and a full trailer that gives the impression that it parallels or rips off or is a rewrite of Empire? Now granted, it's not like an Empire Strikes Back trailer. You can go back and look at those, and back then trailers were done very, very differently than they are now. But man, I just, the fanboys are out in force, and I'm really starting to wonder if I even want to troll them anymore. Because it's so easy to get them going, and they always say the same things over and over and over again.
They end up trolling themselves at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's really easy.
It just, ugh. And then the other thing that, I saw this with The Force Awakens. We saw it with Rogue One. I don't know how far back in time it goes. And that are these, and I actually thought of doing one for this. I just have been too busy. Where I'm basically like, the opposite, and that's reaction videos. And I cannot believe these things some of them will get hundreds of thousands of views.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them don't show the video. Some of them have picture-in-picture of the video. And what is amazing to me is the reactions are the exact freaking same, no matter who's doing the video, no matter how young they are, no matter how old they are. They all have this. They all look like Rey. Mouth wide open, big bug-eyed, like, oh, it's a tiger. It's
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh god, it looks so cool. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh, it's like God fucking damn it. Get a hobby.
well, they all have the same.
Look,
It's like, does one come out and then everybody copies it? I mean, it's just crazy.
I've pretty much been saying that for like I got God knows how long at this point.
Right? It's like, I can believe people like it, but to have the same I actually watched two videos the other day. They were. I thought I was watching the same video again, but on someone else's channel. But four people sitting on a couch. They look so much alike, and it wasn't. There was different people, but they're holding their lightsabers. They're doing all this, and it's like, and then to listen to them talk afterwards. So they'll play the 2.5 minute. Well, one of them they talked for like 8 minutes before they ever reviewed the trailer, and someone even put in there to get to the actual trailer review, to skip past it because they were boring as crap, and then they were even more boring afterwards. I was like, really? It was amazing. But yeah, maybe I'll do one of these things. Maybe we can do one. We'll do an actual video and picture or something, and like, oh my goodness, look, it's Empire. Look, that thing from Empire, and that from Empire, and that from Empire. Oh, and did you see that from Empire? And then they chat about it. And then you have the other side of it is all the
get Jeff Finn on it.
Right. You have all these breakdown videos too, where they talk for 40 minutes about a 2-minute trailer. I keep seeing them suggested. I haven't clicked on a single one of them, but the 15 things you missed about the Star Wars trailer. And I'm like, I didn't miss anything. It sucks. So, yeah.
Pretty much.
How about the 19 things from Empire you refuse to see? That might be
How about just telling these people to actually watch fucking Empire? I don't think many of them even bother to watch the originals.
I saw
I'll see it again in December.
Right. I saw a comment today where someone said, I've never seen the original movies, but now I want to go back and get ready for December by watching them all. And I replied something like, by the time you get done with the originals, you can stop. Because you'll have seen the new movie by then. So, there we go. So, that's all I had on the Star Wars trailer. Anybody else want to have any more rants?
Well, Star Wars, no. I mean, I already said my piece.
Yay!
Yeah, it hurts to be a Star Wars fan these days, because if you make a comment that you don't like something, the so-called real fans will say, well, you can't possibly be a real Star Wars fan, or you would like this. And I'm thinking, no.
Or
my
brain. I bet you think the prequels are just fucking amazing then, don't you?
Right.
No, I don't.
No, but they were original. I mean, they did echo things. They did have some themes that came from the originals, yes. I will admit that. I will fully admit that I didn't like what the background and things that Lucas laid out, and I've talked about it ad nausea. But because they have, I mean, even Lucas said in his, I've seen him in interviews, not only about talking about the original series as well as the prequels, it was very necessary to have ships and characters and things that were new and different, and especially when he went back. And then so you'll see some things only show up for one movie, and it's on purpose. It's not, they were not copying the things. Now, there were some themes and some beats that were copied because the whole concept is having Anakin have a similar but not identical path to a choice where he chooses light or dark, just like Luke did. And so you're going to have this parallelism. That's kind of how the whole thing works. But to blatantly copy scene for scene, when Jar Jar Abrams said that they were, he was all proud of how they were using the lenses from the original, I mean, not copies of lenses, the original lenses from the first movie. I should have known that this was literally, he was spelling out that it was a literal copy.
Fucking Jar Jar.
So yeah, I'm done with that. So maybe I will do a video if I can find the time. The part of the thing is too is doing reaction videos, things like this. It's you got to strike while the iron's hot, right? This has been out now 4 days, right? So it's just Monday Night Football. So
Mhm.
I can't wait too long. If I do, I'm not gonna have any time tomorrow, but maybe Sunday. We'll see.
Just title it the best Star Wars reaction video.
There we go. So maybe I will send Jeff a message and float that over, and we'll do some kind of combined thing. So on to another topic. Now, LMP, do you want to talk about Comic-Con now, or do you want to rant about it later?
Sure.
So you were at New York Comic-Con last week.
Yeah.
How many days did you go?
All right, so let me clear this up because this could actually explain a little bit of what I'm going to go into in a moment about how I felt overall with Comic-Con and what I think the problem is, not just with it, but entertainment in general. So, as I've already expressed to you guys, I started a new job, and unfortunately, when you start a new job, you can't just ask for days off. That's not exactly a smart move. So as soon as I was done with work, I went to Comic-Con the first day, which was on Friday. It was one of 2 days, Friday and Saturday. So I went Friday, and pretty much everything was done Friday night. I got there around maybe, I'll say, between 5 to 5:30 p.m. I mean, it was not empty. There were still people, cosplays. I really didn't care about that stuff. I mostly went in to try to get some of the exclusive merch because at that point I figured it's only not even 2 hours left. I have to make the best of it, get the merch. I bought a few Gundams. I've actually finished them, and I don't know if anybody's interested. I'll show you what the finished product looks like one of these days. Pretty cool hobby I picked up, and that was about it. That was Friday, so sadly not much to do. Okay, so let's get to the meat of it, and this is Saturday. Now, Saturday is a bit more of a disappointing tale, if I may say so. Saturday was a day that not only I was looking to get exclusive merch, mostly the Funkos, which were hard to get, and I don't even want to go into that story and how disappointed I am. And I'm starting to more and more now be repulsed by them than I am intrigued by them. Like in the beginning, I used to think they were cool. Now I'm beginning to hate them. I really don't want to get into the story why. It's just a fucking clusterfuck. But the rest of Comic-Con was kind of boring. Like last year, to give you an example, there was a lot more to do. And yes, part of the problem is that it's being more corporatized now. So you're going to see less of comic and entertainment in general. And you'll see things more like, let's say, companies like Samsung, companies like Amazon, companies like Adult Swim. You know, those type of brand names, you're going to start seeing more and more of them. Last year, there was more interactivity with a lot of these things. This year, a lot of that stuff was missing. In fact, the way it was set up, a lot of these bigger name brands, or these companies, take them as you will. Some for the better, some for the worse. Like Uniqlo took up a big chunk of space there. And I don't know if you guys know what Uniqlo is.
Is it like Soul Glow?
Nah, it's actually a clothing company from Japan. So, actually got popular because in the beginning they used to sell a lot of the anime shirts. So take that as you will.
Huh. Yeah, I've never heard of them. I mean, going to Matsuricon stuff, Crunchyroll is one of the main names you see a lot of there.
Oh yeah, they were there, but it wasn't as big as as it could have been.
Right.
Let me give you an example of possibly one of the biggest attractions, and I mean literally, was the Amazon. And the reason why I'm going to keep throwing Amazon's name is because it was a showcase for the for Danger Boat from Tick, the series on Amazon that we've all been watching.
Oh yeah,
Great show.
So we got to go inside. Yeah, so we got to go inside Danger Boat. Have a little fun with it. I got some faux ham here somewhere. Can of faux ham.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll text you guys a picture of that later to see how. And they gave me a free, essentially what amounts to a raincoat, rain jacket, rain poncho with a hoodie, whatever. So the experience wasn't bad. The problem was for something that really only has about novelty for about 5 to 10 minutes, I had to wait over an hour to get in. And it wasn't like a very long line. It was I would probably say maybe I was somewhere between, when I got on the line, maybe there's somewhere between 50 to 70 people, tops. And I might be even exaggerating it. but it took an hour to get in, and it was like not only that, then there were other things to look at that I even forgot about because I just stopped caring after a while. I was like, damn, everything is aligned to get into something, and it wasn't like other years where you were excited and pumped to get into it. It was like, oh hey, I'm going into this, great. Well, I don't need to be here 10 minutes. Why there's still people here for like 10 to 15 minutes taking up line space? Other things that really sucked were the fact that even the way a lot of these attractions were placed, like, like for example, there was, I'll say another big attraction was where they had a simulation of Planet of the Apes, the last movie, where you can get on a mechanical horseback and you see your 3D model on the video screen. That took up a really large chunk of space. Essentially, what a lot of these attractions started doing now, a lot of these entertainment blocks, they started taking up so much space that a lot of the smaller stuff that you usually see at Comic Cons, a lot more of the independent stuff, like mom and pop shop type of things, they're getting pushed to the side into places that you don't even see them anymore. So it's like, if you don't see them, you blink and you miss them. You can find some cool merch or find some cool stuff, or even like, hey, look, it's an old wrestler. He just made an appearance, and hey, look,
is it Virgil?
No, but apparently he was the exclusive for Mattel this year.
Awesome.
I think he's still available on the Toys R Us website.
I don't doubt that.
There was some, again, it wasn't the worst thing out there, but honestly, it was. And I'll say another thing. Even the cosplay was pretty meh. I think the best cosplay I saw was of someone dressed up like Cell from Dragon Ball Z. That says a lot to me. And possibly the highlight of Comic-Con for me was when I got to meet the executive producer of Capcom. And he signed a free autograph. I always have trouble pronouncing his name. Yoshiorino Ono. He worked on a lot of the... he worked on Street Fighter 3. I think he worked on one of the Street Fighter versus franchises. He worked on a lot of great Capcom games. Well, I can't say all great, but mostly memorable Capcom games. Street Fighter 4, so on and so forth. So he did some free autograph signings. He got a few free posters for the Street Fighter 5 Arcade Edition. I have no interest in the game. It was cool to get an autograph, and that was about it. It was a very disappointing Comic-Con, and while I was on the line, I talked to a few people, and they shared their sentiments with me. They felt like something is different about Comic-Con. It's not the same. It's becoming more corporate. You're getting a lot of casual fans. Cosplay is getting to a point where I'm getting more repulsed by cosplay, especially with this rising cross-dressing that is getting to a point where it's now upsetting, like not even funny anymore. And
now, are you meaning cross-dressing, guys as women or women as guys, or just the whole thing?
Guys as women, it went overboard this year.
Yeah, women dressing as guys, cross-dressing doesn't seem to be as bad as when dudes try to cross-dress as women sometimes. That makes sense.
Right.
No, I get that, but I don't know. It's just when you okay. So there was one that made sense. He was dressed up as cosplay of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So great. That's pretty cool. But then when I start seeing guys dressed up as Sailor Moon and some other guys dressed up as Cinderella and I forgot the other one, Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and it's okay, it's like every other
weird.
Yeah. Well, my favorite's when because I've seen some of these guys at Matsuri-Con too, and it's I saw a guy dressed as Sailor Moon this year that had a nice black beard. It wasn't very long, but it was pretty thick, close in, maybe, quarter inch out. And he's got the little dress and the mini. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's just too bizarre. At least he didn't try to look like a woman, but still he's dressing up as a female anime character. And I'm like, and then the beard. And I was like, oh, okay, that's just too weird. It is part of why I like going to Matsuri-Con is to see how unnerdy I really am.
This is why the terrorists hate us.
Probably.
This is yeah, it's true. Look at how they let their men dress up. They're going to be easy to conquer.
Always remember, traps are gay.
Yeah. So yeah, Comic Con, that kind of sentiment is what I've been hearing more and more of. It's become too commercial, too large, too expensive.
Oh, don't
Um,
even get me started on that.
it's basically all the things that I hope MatsuriCon never becomes. And I don't know if I'm going back next year because it was kind of a family thing, but now the kids are kind of growing up and going their own way. But yeah, because those things are huge, and there's a bunch of them, bunch of Comic Cons, right? It's not like MatsuriCon is a small anime con that's only in one place. It's not a brand like Comic Con is, or there's another one that's I forget the name of now. But yeah, I like the smaller regional cons. They seem to be a little bit better draw.
Somebody was suggesting I check out Anime Con just because they're like you may not be into anime, but you'll probably enjoy it. It's not as bad.
Right.
But then I thought about it, I'm like, I'm probably gonna see some of the same things I would have seen here anyway. So why would I spend money to go to that?
Right.
I'm not a freaking weeb anymore, so those days are most past me. Unless I don't know, unless they have like um some fucking weird tentacle exhibit or something, I might check out just for fuck's sakes.
Right. Well, I go
I
to
know.
some of the not workshops, but some of the panels and stuff like that, and that's part of why there's a draw there. But yeah, if
Yeah,
you're just going for the walk around the vendors hall and other things, yeah, it's going to get really boring. And because I forget, there's one out. I know it's out in San Diego and some other places because I've seen some of the bigger channels that follow some of these cons around, and it's just like, it's like they only go in a certain area, because there's not a lot of people, and I'm like, wait a minute, I've been to these cons before, and it's usually wall to wall people and a lot of stuff. It's part of why I've never really gone to the Arnold. I've heard just how big it is. I know it's completely changing topics, but
no, it's
yeah,
fine. I've essentially expressed my sentiments with it, and not exactly fond of it. So that's all I really got to say. I don't know how I feel about going next year.
alrighty. So there you go, folks. If you had a different Comic Con experience, please let us know. I might go to Dragon Con next year. I don't know. So we also had another trailer come out. Is it the final trailer?
Yeah, it was the fourth one.
Well, I guess we had three trailers. So, Thor Ragnarok, was that a new trailer or was that an old trailer?
Oh, we're talking about Thor?
No. Okay, the other trailer was Justice League.
Yeah.
Right. I forgot about that one. So, because that's how memorable it was. I know I saw it. I know Kendo saw it. I think Kendo saw it. Didn't you say you saw it?
What, Justice League? Yeah, we talked
Yeah.
about it last night.
So,
It was underwhelming.
LMP, have you seen that one?
No, but I feel like I should be enlightened about this one.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was. I liked the trailer previously where it ended where you weren't sure who. I guess it's Alfred says about time you got here or something like that. And you're not sure who that is. But here's what I like about the new trailer. It doesn't give the movie away. Here's what I don't like about the trailer. It doesn't set up the movie at all. It's just like someone just took random scenes and spliced them together. And then some of the jokes and things they had in it, they had unbelievably lame lines, especially with the Flash. The bat signal is up and he's looking at Bruce.
It was so annoying.
Isn't that your signal? I just
so stupid.
I saw it and I was like, this is not good. And my favorite, it has some of my favorite superheroes of all time in it. Batman and Superman are the ones that my brother and I growing up with. I mean, the one I liked the most was Sergeant Rock, but it was just horrible. I'm like, okay, if this is the best you got for a trailer, and this is the best parts of the movie, this movie is going to be a pile of flames like no one has seen. before. I mean, this is going to be, even if the movie is twice as good as the trailer, it's still going to be Cutthroat Island.
So I really missed nothing of value, I guess.
It's like DC cannot get out of its own way, and since the rumor has been flying for a couple weeks now that they may break up, Justice League might be the end of the DCEU. I'm like, thank God. Because, yeah, the Arrow gets a little corny sometimes, and I watch the Flash TV show when it's on Netflix. I've tried. I cannot get through the second season of Supergirl. I just can't. I've tried multiple times. And then I actually like the, what's the other one? The Legends of Tomorrow. That's not at least too preachy, but it's almost like DC is good for TV shows because they have, other than a handful, there's a few gems here and there. The movies have all been mediocre to horrid. It's amazing. I don't understand it, but so the early Batmans were good. The couple first Superman movies were good back in the 70s and early 80s, and then they dumped all over themselves and got stupid. I mean, I actually like Superman 3. Superman 4 is obviously just, I don't even have a word to describe it.
I forgot it existed. Thank you.
Right. Well, see, my favorite thing with Superman 3 is I lose my voice again. I'm out of meds for my allergies, unfortunately, and it's that time of year. But anyway, Superman 3, yes, it's kind of corny with Richard Pryor, and there's some weirdness, and the villain is kind of weak. But I really like when they make the fake kryptonite, and it splits. Superman has to fight himself. It becomes a bad guy, more so, a mean person, and then he ends up fighting himself. That was a very good, I thought, very good imagery, especially for something in the early 80s like that. Or I guess that was, mid 80s, whenever that came out. But, 4 was the Quest for Peace. That was just stupid. I think that in many ways that was a response for people saying, well, where's Lex Luthor? How come Lex Luthor's not in it? And so they came out with a fourth movie with Lex Luthor, and it was like written over a weekend, and everybody was doing highballs the whole time. So it makes about that much sense. There was here's another topic we've actually talked about a couple times. But Screen Rant is finally coming around that, the MCU might be starting to get long in the tooth. And
it's been going on for a while.
And then they're talking about a Phase 4, and I'm like, oh, yeah. But again, if these movies make a crap ton of money, even if a lot of people are getting burned out, as long as butts are in seats and eyeballs are looking at the screen, they're going to make another one. I don't know how much more expensive they can get, though. Because isn't Civil War like $250 million or something like that?
It's up there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people to pay, a lot of effects. I actually watched some Thor Ragnarok stuff today, some little out clips, and there was some, apparently he was on, Chris Hemsworth was on Jimmy Kimmel at some point. There was a nice little clip from it. But, at some point, these are all going to be just pure CGI the whole time. They're just going to be voice actors. But, I agree. I mean, franchise fatigue is a real thing, but exactly how real is the unknown. Because they could get to Infinity War Part 2. It does well. The Black Panther movie will probably do mediocre. That will probably... And now there's a chance for when it doesn't do well that people are going to start yelling and screaming racism again.
Let them. I mean, what else we got to lose? I mean, we're going to criticize it. It's going to happen anyways, people.
Now there you go. Which movie will do better? The young Han Solo movie or Black Panther?
I would say probably the young Han Solo movie, only because it's going to have Star Wars slapped on it, so you're going to have a bunch of fucking dorks in bigger mass going and seeing that than you would the Black Panther.
What about the Obi-Wan movie? Or is that really going to be made? Has that been canceled yet?
I just really hope it. I don't want it to.
Right. Because
I
I have
want to
seen
think
comments
about other Star Wars movies right now.
Yeah. Well, I've seen comments. Oh, well, we need to know what he was doing. I'm like, we know what he was doing. You guys not pay attention to these movies. He was guarding over Luke and preparing himself to be a Force ghost, to become one with the Force, which is why he seeks out Vader and sacrifices himself. It's explained in episode 4 and a little bit more backstory in 3. Actually, maybe even 2, where Qui-Gon comes back, he talks to Yoda, and Yoda says, I have a visit from a friend of ours. It's just like, look, I've only seen the prequels once, and I even know all that crap. So you people either don't see these movies or you don't frickin' pay attention. So, anyway, but yeah. So with the MCU coming to a close and the DCEU maybe on life support, I'm all for a few movies, some good ones, maybe some crossover here and there. But yeah, the 3 or 4 superhero movies a year from one, side, so we get 3. We have 3, or didn't we last year have 4 Marvel movies? We've had 3 this year, or we'll have 3. We're gonna have 2 DCE movies, right? We had Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Did we have
the Justice League?
We got Just Us League. Well, Batman vs Superman I just saw this year. That's why I keep thinking it came out this year. But
yeah, it was last year.
Early, I don't want an Aquaman movie. I don't want a Flash movie. It's like they should have tied it into the TV show, but they've done so many weird, goofy things with the TV show. I don't think it would work right. But yeah, I just, I don't know. I think back to that video that I even posted in the Facebook group about why the millennial movies suck, and it's like, how much longer does this generation have this kind of influence before Hollywood starts revamping for the Generation Z? Because they seem to have it together a little bit more in general. So, yeah, I don't know. It just
I don't know, man. Hollywood just sucks.
Well,
it's just mainstream in general.
I'm just trying to think of movies that have come out in the last few years that I've actually really just loved. I mean, It is the most recent one. And before that, I don't know, John Wick and John Wick 2, maybe? I'm trying to think. I'd have to look it up. Because I saw It twice in theaters, and that's the first time I saw a movie in theaters, and I can't even tell you how long.
Right. Well, I finally did watch Doctor Strange not too long ago, and I've been watching more movies because of this, and trying to keep up with WCBS and trying to be able to comment on the Fancast. And what I'm finding amazing is how many of these movies I watch once, and even if I'm only semi paying attention, I remember enough to know I don't want to watch it again. Whereas, I like the first couple Batman movies I'd watch again. Obviously Star Wars movies, and I haven't watched all of them in a long time, but I don't know, and it's not a recent thing, but the prequels, for instance, I saw each one once, and that was fine. The first Spider-Man movie, I must have watched that 24 times with my son. Now, granted, he was smaller, but I actually wanted to watch it again. Spider-Man 2 was pretty good. Spider-Man 3 could have been good if they would have gotten out of Raimi's way and not pretend like they knew how to make a movie and make that probably a 3-part arc. But
Spider-Man 3 sucked.
But, the 1 and 2...
They could have gone further with that Spider-Man franchise and really made great movies.
Yeah, well, they thought they knew how to... It's like my understanding is they told Sam to put all that crap in 3, and it was like he wanted to do a multiple-parter. But, Iron Man 2 is another movie. Those 2 movies I'd watch. 2 so much, not as much as 1. But Iron Man 3, yep, saw it once, don't want to ever see it again. I have not seen Ant-Man yet, and I probably need to see that one.
Oh, that one's actually really good. Ant-Man is probably one of my favorite MCU movies.
Yeah,
Actually, has a little bit more rewatchability.
Actually, I would probably say Ant-Man to me is my personal favorite of the MCU. I liked it better than Civil War. I liked it better than Avengers. Not by much, but Ant-Man's easily one of the best ones that they've made. I liked it better than Thor, and I like Thor as a character better than Ant-Man.
Yeah. Now, see, Thor I liked the first one. I could probably rewatch it. The second one, yeah, not so much. But,
the first one was really good. The second one, it was like, ugh, it was a slog.
No, it was. And in my view, once these characters started to be more directly involved in the combined MCU, the single movies made no sense. I mean, that was one of the problems I had with Iron Man 3. That started to make no sense. It really wasn't necessary. But, and I haven't watched a lot of other movies, but, sometimes when I'm watching stuff on Netflix and other things, I don't know how much we pay a month, but I have the streaming as well as I still get one DVD Blu-ray, at a time. And there we go. I can talk about the streaming stuff too, because it is very annoying that the only reason I can see some things is because I have both services. But I don't know fully. I know several years ago, one of the big problems with Netflix and their streaming stuff is the studios wanted so much more money for a licensing fee for streaming. And now, of course, we have Disney making their own streaming, and Sony's played with some stuff. I'm wondering if that was part of it all along, was figure out what was the amount the market would bear, and then make your own service. So I don't see that lasting as a model where everything is ad hoc and people are paying. Well, I guess if you were paying $80, $90 a month for cable, you can still cheaper to get Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Plus, Disney, and something.
Yeah, it is. But the thing, I've been a huge advocate of fucking a la carte watching of TV and shit for a long time. About the time that I got satellite, I moved out, was living on my own, got DirecTV because it had the sports channel so I could keep up with soccer and things like that and stop fucking watching broke dick virus laden streams to keep up with the Premier League and things like that. So I got DirecTV, and then I realized, I'm like, dude, I'm paying like $120 a month for satellite, and I have like 200 something channels, and I literally watch like 10. And then like you'll run into things where like your satellite there'll be like crawls around. It's like, due to a disagreement with DirecTV, you'll only be able to see this channel until November 1st at midnight. Once that happens, it'll be gone unless we can reach an agreement. Right. Because they have to reach an agreement with like how much DirecTV is going to pay them to or whatever to put it on the satellite. And it's like, the easiest solution would be just go to a la carte, because then you can just build your own satellite package. You can say, yes, I want TBS and I want WGN and ESPN or Fox Sports 1 or Fox, and all the channels, they can have different prices. Like Lifetime can be $1 and like Fox Sports could be like $3 or something like that. And people could build their own thing. Right. It would make more sense, and it would probably be cheaper for the satellite company in the long run, because it's not going to change how they have to do things. Because now, like with DirecTV, there's like 6 different packages. So they know what package you're paying for and subscribe to, and that's what's beamed into your satellite, and there's blockers put on it. But it'd be really easy just to say we're reformatting, and if you want the a la carte system, you'll select that, and then how it works is you just, as you go to a channel, it'll say subscribe or no, and then if you subscribe, it'll just unlock it that way. I'm sure they could build a system to allow for that to happen.
Yeah, well,
I would love that.
Those devices are pretty much basically the short of it is the device is programmed for those package levels to block or unblock or descramble the signal, and that's what's sent to your device as to what your package is. So yes, you could definitely do an a la carte. It would take a bit more programming. You'd probably have to put a little more EEPROM in the. You actually have you probably would have to use because they update your stuff every once in a while. Every once in a while, your box has to download an update. Yeah. It would just have to be. They could still do it, because they could default to blocking everything, or say blocking whatever. There's a basic package that has like your local crap and weather, stuff that's never going to get blocked.
Right.
Unless you stop paying your bill, in which case they just turn it off. They tell the box go to not work at all. It's not from a programming side, and it's been true for years. I mean, I've been saying similar things for over 20 years. Those set-top boxes were programmable back in the mid-'90s when we used to have one. Not the ones with the buttons, but when you started going to remote and you had that slight delay. Now, some of those early things were looking to see if you had the rights to that channel, so it was pinging back for it. But now we're well beyond the point where something like that is very doable without a huge cost. I've heard all kinds of arguments of why they don't have ad hoc a la carte type stuff. People say, well, then we wouldn't have as many channels because some channels wouldn't be able to survive. And I'm like, well, good. That's the market speaking. What we have is a form of communism or socialism.
That's how it works.
And if your channel isn't interesting enough, because basically if you have a new something, maybe it's free to everybody for 30 days. Or maybe certain things are always, when you sign up for the service, you get certain things free for a certain amount of time just to see if you want to continue. But yeah, I remember, so we had DirecTV we had it for 2 years, 2.5 years or so. And I remember seeing that. You'd be like, my wife said, what's that mean? I said, well, and then we had the NFL Sunday Ticket one year, and because the buttholes can't always sell out, I still got blocked. And if you listen to the commercial, they say out of market, when you're out of market is how the best way to get these games. But if you're in market, all the NFL rules still apply. And if the Bengals didn't sell out, when they were playing wherever it was, all those games were blocked. And now if I lived literally 50 yards north into Butler County, I wouldn't have that problem. So even though I had to pay, $500 or $600 or whatever that package was, and I bought it because I got all of the movie channels in HD free for 3 months. That's the only reason. And we got it at a reduced price because it was like 3 weeks into the season. But the next year, I forgot to tell them I didn't want it, and then I paid full price for it, and then I called and said, look, I don't even watch these games. And but I noticed that. I was like, I want to watch, and it would be some other team. I want to watch the Patriots against somebody, or I want to watch, the Chiefs playing somebody or whatever. But the Bengals didn't sell out. Now, when they were out of market, it would sell out, and I'd get all the games. And so, all that were at that time, and when things were, it's just, it would take some effort, but you could also do bundling like that. And DirecTV, a lot of those stations were in clusters, right? All of the NFL games were in a certain range. Movies are in a certain range. So if you're going to have all 9 HBOs and all 16 Skinamaxes, those are in a block, and so you can program it that way too. To send it to either, and many of these nowadays, especially if you're doing pay-per-view, you just got to have an internet connection or a phone line, and maybe that's how it's programmed. So if you do go buy it, maybe if you're still on dial-up, great. You got your RJ11 cable in there. It goes and dials up, and it verifies that you have it, and then it goes on with life, and unlocks itself. But yeah, I think streaming, it may end up that streaming helps to bring that about, but I really do think that DirecTV and cable in particular, unless you've got fiber optic, most cables, I don't even know if they're doing 4K. I don't even know if DirecTV can do 4K, but
not yet.
I think they're pretty much done, because obviously you can't get either of those on your phone or your tablet.
You can get that on your tablet.
Really? DirecTV?
Yeah, DirecTV's got apps that you can watch. You can watch satellite on your phone or tablet.
Well, is it satellite, or is it then sending you a signal over your internet provider?
Well, what happened? So, say I got my tablet. All right, because I'm pretty sure it's on my Amazon Fire tablet. So, say I go on a trip to, wherever the fuck is staying, and I'm in the hotel, and the hotel's got Wi-Fi. If I've got the Watch DirecTV app on there, I can log in as me. It knows it's me, because you'll verify, and then I can watch the whatever channels are in my satellite package over the Wi-Fi onto my tablet. So if I'm on a trip to wherever the fuckville, and I'm like, all right, the hotel's got like 18 channels of cable, blah 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 blah. Fuck it, I want to watch DirecTV. I can watch on my laptop, phone, tablet, as long as on your on your computer, you don't even need to have an app or anything special. You can just, go to the DirecTV website and it says, watch DirecTV. You click on it and you log in and there you go.
Yeah, so that's access. So it is hitting the internet. So it is streaming.
Yeah.
It's not going through the satellite, but it understand again. But so there, it's even easier to do the ad hoc.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, okay, so this is subscriber K Hofer, blah blah blah, and his email address. So we're gonna go ahead and it's him. He's just on the road and he wants to watch it on his computer. Or if you've only got one TV and you've got two people in your house, you can have one person watching on the TV and the other person can do that. And I think you can even access your DVR maybe through that. I don't know. It's maybe. I probably not, because I think you have to do your DVR. Actually, it's recorded to your box, but that might be wrong. But I could have sworn one time it's like, I know you can set stuff to, like, if I'm out of the house and I forget, I can always log into my DirecTV app and say, oh, shit, I wanted to record. I'm not going to get home in time. I want to start recording, like, the hockey game. And I'll pick it up when I get home.
Right.
So you can,
that would be, and it's obviously communicating with your box. And obviously,
Yeah.
And this is why, just to nerd out a little bit, but, the EEPROM, well, probably EEPROM, I'm surprised, someone will correct me from before. But that's the whole point, is you have electronic erasable read-only memory, programmable read-only memory, and it can, most likely the amount of information it needs to store what channels you're allowed to see are very small and easily compacted, and you don't need a very big chip. It updates some things, and you're off and running. And then obviously anything streaming where you have to log in and access an account, then it knows, oh, you're not allowed to see channel 974 because of your various whatever package you have, and you could actually do you can actually do a combination. You can keep the packages, but you could also do an ad hoc package, and maybe per channel it's slightly more, but you're getting the channels that you're going to watch. And that was one of the big reasons, one of several big reasons I finally got rid of it, is I started looking at what channels I was watching, what channels the kids were watching, what channels my wife was watching, and it was like 20 channels out of, I don't remember how many we had. And I was like, well, that's expensive on a per channel basis. But if I could have paid for those, even if I was paying $2 a channel, it would have been a lot cheaper.
Still cheaper, yeah.
And if you get to the point where there's going to be a breaking point where that would be more expensive, well, then just get the package that has that, and then get it cheaper. Maybe you get some channels you never watch, but hey, you get the 24 that you watch all the time, and you're now only paying $1.10 per channel or something. Whatever. But I think a lot of it's not going to change until there's a need or a big enough market force. But that once I understood how a lot of the cable boxes worked back in the mid '90s, then as a computer programmer, I realized, well, this would be almost trivial to make it so you could do, if you wanted to do a pay as you go type thing, or not pay as you play, but an ad hoc. Here's the 9 channels I want. But it is more difficult. It makes billing a little more difficult. And so, yes, it's cheaper to do the packages, and they probably make a bit more money because there's stuff that you don't watch. But I don't know if it really costs any of these companies more. I mean, that would imply that if you're not watching television, it actually saves them money, and I don't know if that's really true.
I don't know.
Because you're paying for electricity, you're renting the box, and they're sending the signal out regardless if you're watching it or not. So
it's all a scam.
But it is old technology. I mean, cable television, and then even the DirecTV is, okay, it's satellites, but the concepts are, 45 years old or more. So, cable started, I want to say in Pennsylvania somewhere, where people couldn't get stuff down in some valley, and then the idea spread. So, yeah, I would like to see a pay for what you want, smorgasbord-oriented thing. But hey. So
can't always get what we want, man.
No, can't. Yeah. So I know there's another topic that LMP wanted to talk about. And I'm going to...
Joel, if you're listening, this is for you, man. This is all about lady boys.
No. Because I don't really give a crap because I can't remember the last time I ate at a McDonald's. I don't know how many years ago it's been, and I didn't even know there was a Szechuan sauce controversy.
I ate at McDonald's today. I was on the road though,
I'm
so that
sorry
makes
for your
sense.
stomach.
I was just like, oh man,
and I have
I'm
been to
gonna
Raising
drive.
Cane's, and I don't understand the appeal. I thought it was horrible. So LP, you said something pre-show about this.
Oh, the Szechuan sauce thing, yeah. So basically, I think it's not just supposed to be about the whole Szechuan sauce thing, but rather like a look at how bad fandoms can get. And this is the point I was trying to make earlier was about how it's not just the Rick and Morty thing, because the whole Szechuan sauce controversy really started with an episode of theirs in season 3 where they made a joke about it, and the fans of the community. By the way, I almost forgot to mention this, but there was one instance at Comic-Con where I kind of cringed, and it wasn't at a cosplay or something, but it was something that somebody said, and I didn't even know that this was a thing until I actually found out about it earlier this week, actually. So apparently there's this whole thing with the Rick and Morty fan base that only intelligent people watch it, and only intelligent people get all the references and jokes like that.
That's not true.
That is exactly. But apparently,
I know some very stupid people that love Rick and Morty.
Oh, indeed. Basically, somebody there was a video by Metokur who basically said it draws parallels to when the Big Bang Theory essentially started doing had a fan base like that, where they were like only intelligent people and intelligent nerds get it, and that everybody else hates it. So essentially, this is what we're looking at right now, and this is a situation of when fandoms take things too far. So the whole Szechuan thing happened, where McDonald's said, "Hey, look, we heard your demand for it, and we're gonna distribute it to our stores." The problem was that the stores that got them only got like about 10 packets or less per store. And remember how you just said that a lot of morons also watched the show? Well, guess how some of these people behaved?
Like morons.
Yeah, pretty much. There's actually cringe video compilation videos on the internet on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, feel free to look up at those and just see just how far fandoms can go. And this isn't even it hasn't even been on that long. Yeah, a couple years. It's only been on 3 seasons.
Yeah, and season 3 just happened. So this whole like Szechuan thing is people clamoring for the Szechuan sauce is like literally took place over the last few months. So that's why I was like, there's something about this just kind of seems like maybe McDonald's had a hand in it, because of course they put out like an artificially manipulated low amount of Szechuan sauce. And what did it do? It fucking drove people to go to McDonald's. And now they're going to bring it back again. And what's it going to do? It's going to drive people to go to McDonald's.
Did you see some of the ridiculousness? Apparently people selling the sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Like they scalp the sauce.
Yeah, like there was a story I saw yesterday. It's like a woman traded a pack of like the sauce for a car. I don't know how nice the car was. I didn't bother to read the story all the way through. I kind of saw the headline, looked at it. It's like, a woman, like somebody was so desperate for it that they, gave their car to the lady and blah, 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 blah. I mean, let me pull it up while we're talking about it. But the thing is, like, there was a guy, Nick was saying that there was a guy that was selling like people dips into the Szechuan sauce for like $10 or something a dip or something crazy like that. And he's like, well, that right there, that man's a fucking entrepreneur. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're taking advantage of fucking mouth breathers. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And that's where we're at right now in society. People are like so obsessed with wanting to be parts of stuff that are bigger than them that instead of actually doing something about it, they, whatever. So I'm looking at it right now. So somebody offered her a 2004 Volkswagen GTI.
Gee whiz.
And so she, so meanwhile, McDonald's, it says it's bringing the sauce back sometimes, which is great because there's people that like were selling the shit on eBay and things like that and like scalping it. So it's like those people are brilliant. And the people that went and like fucking chucked money at this stuff because they had to be a part of it, it's like, how fucking stupid do they feel now? It's like, oh man, you just gave some guy $100 for your fucking a little packet of Szechuan sauce, and now you're gonna, if you would have waited a couple of weeks, you'd be able to get it for free.
Yeah. Well, I would like to see a cross section done of how many people like The Force Awakens and are saying it's not a rewrite, are the same kind of people wanting this sauce, because it's like the same mentality. You're right. They want to be part of this big event, if you will, and it's not even an event; it's a joke, and they don't get it. They don't understand
April
that
1st.
They're being trolled, and they're living the trolling.
Yeah.
The joke.
Episode 1 of season 3, which came out on April 1st, it was funny because the way this show was, because I started watching it partway through season 2 because I had a couple friends that they were huge Rick and Morty fans, and so they'd watched it from the beginning. It came out in 2013, I believe, and so it's your typical Adult Swim show. It's got 10 episodes, 12 episodes. They're like 30 minutes. Whatever. And so the first season, it was 11 episodes. It went from the end of 13 to April of 14. And then the second season was July of 15 to October 15, because it kind of ended on a cliffhanger and everyone was like clamoring when it was going to come back. And so I remember on April Fool's Day, they had an episode of it. Like the new episode came out because those guys missed it, but it recorded because I watched it and they're like, they were like freaking out. I was like, oh yeah, it was on your night. You guys didn't know that? And so then it was a couple of months before like they came out with the second episode. Yeah, and ran through the rest. But that episode was the one where the Szechuan sauce, because like the whole like plot is like picking up for where the second season ended, and then the end of it is just like the guy Rick running around, desperate to get Szechuan sauce because, he hasn't had it since the Milan thing. And so that's like the end plot is like him screaming at McDonald's wanting Szechuan sauce. And that's where this all starts. So literally 6 months ago is when that all kind of kicked off. And
yeah, that's amazing. April Fool's Day. It came out April Fool's Day and they don't get it.
Yeah.
April Fool's Day. I think that was a Saturday this year, if I remember correctly.
I was Sunday. No, it was a Saturday.
Yeah. Calling them mouth breathers is being very generous.
I was pissed off that night.
Gracious. Yeah.
So, whether or not McDonald's did it, like told them, like if they went to McDonald's and said, hey, because I'm sure if like you're making a TV show, you can make reference to that stuff, but I don't know for sure because I don't know if that counts as product placement or whatnot. But I'm sure there was something to do with it, because for them to make that joke and then 6 months later McDonald's comes out and says, oh, by the way, we're going to bring back Szechuan sauce, because there's times where like things have been referenced like on TV and in movies before as a joke about, oh man, I can't remember the last, blah, 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 Crystal Pepsi. Well, I mean, Crystal Pepsi's back now for a limited time, but shit like that, where like reference to old defunct like cereals and things like that, like French Toast Crunch and whatnot. But that doesn't end up leading to like people like flipping the fuck out and then General Mills coming out and being like, oh yeah, we're going to bring it back for like one weekend. They'll be at your stores.
Well, nowadays it probably will.
Oh yeah, now it will be.
Well, I remember jokes back in the 80s that SNL did a fake commercial for McDonald's, because when McDonald's first started having multiple sauces for a limited time, and they had this mixed sushi and they had a Szechuan sauce. So when you started talking about this, I'm thinking, is this just a really long-threaded joke that started 30 years ago, or is this real? And apparently it's real. So,
yeah, no, Szechuan sauce was a real thing because they came out with it to tie in with Mulan.
Right.
Because that was like 1999-ish or something like that. Pretty sure it was around the time, because I know I was driving because we went to McDonald's and we got McNuggets and Szechuan sauce to give it a try. Because it was like, I wonder what this stuff tastes like. So we got it, and it was all right. I mean, it was like any other, Chinese sauce.
But I will say
it was like soy saucy.
I did find it funny and slightly irritating how Dion completely missed the point of the recipe you were reading. Where every other step was take a shot of plum sake.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there was that.
But I was like, hey, Dion, you're interrupting. The funniest part is by the time you make the sauce, you'll be so drunk you won't care.
Yeah, that was part of it. But it's okay. I think it'd be fun to put Dion and LMP together on a chat and just see how long each one of them goes without letting the other one talk.
Probably
because
8 hours.
you're very long-winded individuals.
Yeah.
Eh.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a point in there, but I don't remember it now. But I don't know. It's just really telling of this current. I won't say generation because there are people that are my age that are all gaga over this garbage too, and I guess they're still living in their parents' basement. They tried to make it on their own and they didn't. They weren't ever accepted in society, and now they're just the norm. But my goodness, to be trolled like that on a show on April Fool's Day and people not get it in mass, it's not like it's a handful of people. Apparently, it's it's not a dozen people with a bunch of Facebook or Twitter accounts. It's a lot of people.
Well, it's like I was telling the guys, like my favorite part about that is like when I got the story and like they were showing like pictures of people like staying outside McDonald's holding up signs saying like hashtag give us the sauce and things like that. I looked up more into it, and the majority of the people that were out there being pissy in protest were people that were clearly under the age of 18, which
really?
means they weren't even fucking alive when this shit came out before. So they have no idea what they didn't. It's not like, if Coca-Cola went away.
Right.
And like for whatever reason, Coca-Cola puts out a thing and says, fuck it, we're done. We've had a good run. No more Coca-Cola. So in 25 years, we're having this conversation. And they're like, Coca-Cola's coming back. We could clamor and freak out about it because we know what Coca-Cola tastes like. We know what it is. We know how enjoyable it is. The people that would be like 20-something years old, they have no fucking clue. It's like you have no idea how good, what it was like because you weren't alive.
Well, that's the whole point. They weren't there, so they're not. You guys were privileged to have it before, and they missed out. Dang nabbit.
It's like if like Falstaff beer came back and I was like running around screaming about it, like, oh my god, Falstaff's coming back. I've never fucking had a Falstaff. I don't know what it tastes like. I just collect the collectibles because it was a local beer.
Right. Yeah,
but it's that type of shit.
Right. It's the missing out. They don't want to miss out on anything, and when they do, it's
I missed out on the 70s, but I don't get all fucking pissy about it. I don't see videos of the Vietnam War and be like, oh god, I fucking missed out. Yeah. Why couldn't I have been protesting and or shooting Vietnamese? I'm like, I just wasn't alive. That's just kind of the way the chips rolled. My fucking combination of DNA strands that were meant specifically just for me just didn't line up until the 80s.
Right. Yeah, and I do agree with LMP. It is, I don't know, fandom overkill. It is definitely this big group think, right? And people are caught up in it, and yeah, it's. I don't remember the Szechuan sauce from however long ago it was. It may have been there. My kids growing up, they like some things McDonald's, but they tended to like Burger King much better. And
I did too.
So
yeah, I did too.
That may be why we missed out.
Better,
or I just may not remember. But anyway,
I remember having it. I just don't remember it being remarkable. I just remember it being kind of like sweet, like McDonald's sweet and sour sauce. Is it good? Yeah. Is it something that I crave? No. If they came out and said we're not having sweet and sour sauce anymore, I'll be like, well, for that, a couple times a year where I have a craving and I just want to crush a 20-piece McNugget, you know what? I guess I'm going to hot mustard.
Right. Because I like the mustard.
Their mustard's great.
And at least what I remember, the barbecue sauce and the mustard. Now I first had those back in Germany, so maybe it was a little bit differently. But you can always dip the fries in it too. But yeah, it's.
Yeah.
And I just heard from Eric Ward. He's not home yet. He had to work late, so I guess he won't be joining us today since we're getting close to being done. So let's go over our last topic. At least the last topic we have on the official discussion list is Mr. LMP to talk about Eminem.
So, guys, I'll ask you this question since you've all basically already saw the video. How do you guys feel about a once former advocate of free speech and all things that would have been considered anti-SJW suddenly doing a complete 180 and becoming the very thing he fought against at one point?
It sounds like somebody's desperate for notoriety, recognition, and record sales again. Because
It's virtue
before
signaling.
this. Yeah, it's virtue signaling because before this guy wasn't in the pop culture spotlight for a while.
Right. It's one of two things. It's either virtual signaling to be relevant again, or
That's what I was looking for.
someone came to him and said, do you want to still be semi-relevant? You got to do this. Maybe. That's conspiratorial, but I look at some of these other things. Kimmel coming out with stuff, and then, someone posted a video on Twitter of his show several years ago, and I don't know what show he was doing, where he had a cucumber down his pants, and he was going up to random women on the street in Hollywood.
Probably the man show.
Getting him to grope him to determine if it was real or, was it really him or was it, something else. And Affleck hugging on all kinds of reporters and stuff, although one woman practically jumped in his lap, so I'm not going to... I think she wanted to be, I think she wanted more than just an interview. But apparently there was one woman he kind of reached around and groped and, and I saw the video of, it looked like it was taking place, like an interview type thing, not too long after it happened. So I don't think this was a recent thing where she came forward. She came forward previously and just reminded people. But yeah, it's, and it's also tied into Weinstein and, well, Weinstein is actually more correct. But yeah, I think we'll just have to see what the reaction is. But I mean, I'm not an Eminem fan, but he has, he was rather raw and crude for a long time. So for him to say, do some SJW virtual signaling, I think that's all it is. It's an attempt to, hey, this is the hot topic. I need to get on this bandwagon. And to me, I think he jumped to get on the bandwagon, and his front foot caught, and he slipped, and he kind of banged his nose as he fell off the bandwagon.
Yeah.
See, what pisses me off about the whole thing, I originally found it watching a video on the this channel by Anthony Brian Logan, who did a very good interpretation of what everything is going on. Basically saying how you became the character in one of your own videos, Stan, who was this obsessed fan, and it's like now Eminem has become obsessed with Trump. The fuck is wrong with me tonight? Don't answer that question. But the thing that pissed me off was towards the end of the video, he actually called out his fans, saying, if you're not with me, you're against me. If you can't make that decision, I'll make it for you. And on top of that, he even praised Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. And I was like, wait a second. You of all people praising Hillary Clinton. Weren't you the asshole that said that you were gonna go rip her tonsils out and feed her sherbet in one of your songs? Don't come insulting your fans and then asking for sympathy, especially after your fans defended you for numerous things that could have otherwise threatened your career several times over. Specifically, I remember a certain instance where a certain diss track against black women came out about him, and how the whole, everybody, including Steve Harvey, was getting on his ass for it, calling him a racist. And he was forced to apologize, which he did. And a lot of fans said he never should have, because we understood where he was coming from. There was no need to apologize. What's done is in the past is in the past. He's a different person now. Now, on the other hand, it's like this is what you became. You became the biggest slap to the face of your fans, who supported you, defended you, all your albums to thick and thin. And mind you, his last couple albums have been shit, in my opinion. Nothing that made him once great. But at least I always look forward to listening to some of his older tracks and thinking to myself, this is at least what I genuinely felt about this character, this guy, whatever he portrayed himself as. Now you completely shat on your own character, you shat what made you great, and you shat on your fans. And for that, Eminem deserves the biggest fuck you ever.
Yeah, it's the hypocrisy of the whole situation. Go back to fucking Kimmel. You were talking about The Man Show. The Man Show was on late 90s to early 2000s. It was him and Adam Carolla, and they would just do fucking funny shit. It was
great.
It was, and here's I'm going to get to why this is what's great about Carolla too. So it was pretty much like the anti View, essentially. I don't know if the View was around back then, probably not, but so the women's talk shows and stuff that'd be on during the day. Well, at night after 9 o'clock on Fridays or whatever it was, you'd get the men's talk show, and they would do skits. But Kimmel, who's like the biggest fucking SJW of them all now, there was a time where I remember him dressing up in blackface and impersonating Karl Malone.
Yep. Yeah, and that was a great impersonation too. I mean, it was a good
because it's hi, I'm Karl Malone. Like,
right.
I don't even know what Karl Malone sounds like anymore. And this is somebody that was a fan of like the NBA in the '90s when he was very relevant with the Jazz. But I could not tell you what Karl Malone sounds like. But if I hear that, I'm like, oh, it must be Karl Malone. Oh, it's Jimmy Kimmel. But there was another skit where like him and Corolla were like doing a petition at like some kind of like fair or something, and having people sign a petition, like trying to get women to sign a petition to end women's suffrage.
Right.
They'd be like, are you against women's suffrage? You should sign this, whatever. And so he was doing shit like that. And then it wasn't until he took over late night duties that he's totally gotten, cuckified and turned into like, whatever. I would assume his politics were probably leaning towards that direction to begin with. He was probably liberal leaning, but at the same time, there was nothing wrong with that. What's wrong with it is when you completely go that hardcore in the direction. He's part of that group that's the middle ground is gone in America. It's all you have to be far left or you have to be far right. There's no, whatever. So he went that direction, and he's turned into a complete fucking SJW, and he gets there's a pass. Like, I guarantee you, if I'm trying to think somebody famous that did blackface before, or Chevy Chase. How about this? Chevy Chase. If Chevy Chase was very conservative, and like today's date, there'd be somebody that'd be dragging up that SNL skit that he did with Richard Pryor, where he said the N-word to him. Right. If you've never seen it, it's where he's like essentially saying like racial like epithets at Richard Pryor to get him to like his response is like, spear chucker, and then Richard Pryor's like honky. And it's like jigaboo, honky. And then he's like nigger, dead honky. Yeah, that's one of the best. That was back when Saturday Night Live was really great. Right. It's one of the best skits ever because there's no racism to it. It's just.
And the look on Richard's face in that skit is great. Like,
did you honky?
Dead
honky.
Yeah,
I'm about to look this up. Later.
That's all it is. There was nothing horrible about it. It's like they're just making fun of it. The situation. Richard Pryor wasn't racist. Chevy Chase wasn't racist. But I guarantee if Chevy Chase was a Trump supporter, somebody would be out there fucking playing that shit, and the media would be talking about how Chevy Chase is a fucking cock.
Right.
And like he's a racist asshole.
He's literally Hitler.
Yeah, he's literally Hitler because he said the N-word to Richard Pryor, a black man, one day.
In the 70s.
Not knowing that, in the 70s. Not knowing that, A, they both probably wrote that skit together, and B, clearly Pryor was okay with it, or else he wouldn't have participated.
Right.
Or just anytime anytime anyone's ever done black, like Dan Aykroyd, Trading Places. If he was a hardcore conservative or a Trump supporter, they'd be all over his ass because he got in blackface in Trading Places, which is one of the best movies ever.
Right.
That's just the hypocrisy. But back to Corolla. Corolla's like easily a libertarian. He's referred to himself as possibly a Republican before, just based on like he's anti big state, government doing whatever. But at the same time, he's also got like some left leaning policies like marijuana legalization, and he doesn't really care if the gays get married and all that stuff. So he's actually probably more libertarian than anything. But he was like that on the show, so he stayed true to his roots. Whereas Kimmel's gone hardcore left, and people praise him, even though he's done, like you said, he put a cucumber down his pants. And
you had girls jumping on trampolines in that show. I remember that when as Karl Malone, they also did some things with not only the 19th Amendment repealing women's suffrage, but they also went around. I remember one where they were doing dihydrogen monoxide and saying how many deaths a year it was causing, getting people to sign up a petition to ban water. And it was just like, so it was not only because some people were hearing the word suffrage and thought it meant women suffering. And so they were, the ignorance was staggering. But on that show, and maybe he went, because he went through a divorce after he left that show, and so maybe that's jaded him a bit. But it's like stereotypical hypocritical of him to have that stance now. So it's ridiculous. One of my favorite, though, is when they pretended to be drunk. They dressed as pilots because they could still go to the airport before 9/11 and get into the terminal, and they were pretending to be really drunk. And they're like, oh, we got to get on that flight, you know. So, anyway. All righty. Anybody, any other topics?
The hypocrisy of the media.
Any other topics we want to cover before we wrap this thing up?
No.
All right. You want to do the BBC then?
Yeah, the BBC this week comes to us from Liquid Metal Pro and his fucking wankathon over Jenna J. Foxx with 2 X's and 2 N's.
Yep. And
she's a very, very lovely woman. I would have loved to have met her before she turned into a porn hussy. Now, not so much. I mean, I'd still like to meet her and just be like, hey, how's it going? Shake my right hand. But, yeah. Whereas before, I'd meet her and be like, hey, she's really attractive. I should chat her up.
It really is.
Yes.
Now it's like, I know where she's been.
Yeah. Or, well, you know what's been in her.
I don't know it as much because, like, I learned about her literally 2.5 hours ago. LMP is the one that's spent time watching her in action. I will probably take a gander at it. I've just seen still images.
Some of them are pretty good. And
they were clean still images, folks. I wasn't like, screenshots of her video clips. It was her just like, in scantily clad clothing and stuff like that.
Yeah. Alrighty. So, we want to start closing this out. So, in closing, we talked about Frank and Thug, and we'll support that. And you got some Patreon updates too, I do believe.
Oh yes, Patreon, and channel news in general. We are on the march towards 7,000 subs. We've been picking up subscribers like a fucking homeless person picks up cans. We've been just piling. Yeah, we've been piling that shit in the cart lately. We are at 6977, so we are 23 away from 7,000. We could probably hit that this week, and that's the hope. We were going to do something really special because we kept talking about like celebrate. I know Jeff's mentioned it many times about celebrating like subscriber count milestones and this, that, and the other thing. But by the time we get the chance to be able to celebrate that milestone, we're hitting another one or about to hit another one. But we came up with one. We were going to celebrate subscriber milestone 6969. And we will be doing that this week. We will be recording a very special thank you, listeners, special 6969 episode that will be pretty much what you would assume it would be if we're celebrating the benchmark of 6,969 subscribers, 69 times 2 or twice, whatever. Fuck you. So be on the lookout for that. James Bond, our first Bond thing, Dr. No is going to be coming shortly. We're going to be recording that in the coming couple of weeks with a launch date, I believe, on Patreon first, if I remember Jeff correctly, and then to the wider audience on the 7th day of March. So the 0077, whatever. We've got some more Schlocktoberfest stuff coming. We recorded stuff the other day that should be live right now. Friday the 13th, part 5 and 6, to honor the Friday the 13th falling in October this year, which is the first time it's happened in a bazillion years and won't happen again until we're all very much dead under the ground and probably crude oil.
Nice.
I'm trying to think what else. We are gearing up for the 100th episode spectacular extravaganza. We're going to be planning that very in depth. If you're interested in being a part of that show, get a hold of us. You can email the show at worldclassbs@mail.com. You can, if you're on the Facebook group, you can message to me or Jeff. We're the ones that are the easiest to get a hold of on the Facebook group. Dion's a busy man. Nick is a busy man. So Jeff and I are more likely to see it. You can message us directly. Well, don't do that. Just message us because I don't want to speak for Jeff. Just, post on the Facebook page, the group page. Just get a hold of us. That's all you got to do is get a hold of us, let you know, because we're going to start putting all that stuff together, how we're going to schedule that out and what we're going to do for all that. And I think that might be it for what's going on right now.
Okay.
Oh, by popular demand, we will be doing more commentary, like commentary videos. The one we did this week for the Last Jedi trailer, we recorded it. Jeff broke it into 3 parts, and it was very, very, very well received. And it seems like that's a good direction for us to go in for something, just extra bonus content to be thrown out midweek. Because we throw the episode out there, we throw something else out there on Monday, but then between Monday and Thursday there's nothing going on. So something, to get you to whet your appetite for Thursday night, we'll probably do this. We're going to start doing the commentaries. I think the Justice League trailer is the one we're going to go after next. But we have a hit list. We have a very, very distinguished hit list of stuff we were going to go after, and that's on it. That's the next one. I'm pretty sure. I think that is actually it now. That is everything.
All right. Yes, and fans, if you want to be on that number 100, whether, most of us will probably be doing some kind of recording, especially if you don't live in a time zone within, say, 2 hours of the Eastern time zone. Make sure that you get your contacts in as early as possible so they can figure out all the arrangements.
Yeah, because put together a schedule and try to get everybody charted out. I was telling Brian about this off air. It's like I know Jeff's busy. I am probably the least busy of the 4 and I have the most time to do this. I want to be able to sit down and write down and get everybody's information and where you're located so I can kind of figure out how to schedule you to be on the show and make sure everybody gets on there. Didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
No, that's good. So I think we're done. And I have been your host, Brainmuffin, the Lifting Nerd, and we have had Kendo and LMP. Sign off, guys.
Fuck your Szechuan sauce.
Dip it in your beans. Good night.
All right. Yo, what the fuck? What the fuck? Did they forget about me? I told them I want to be on the podcast, man. I'll fucking be on the podcast, man. This is fucking MGTOW nonsense. It's because they probably think I'm MGTOW. Why I say fuck DC when I say fuck DC and their feminism in the movies, and I say fuck Marvel with their SJW comics and shit like that. Well, fuck him and everybody. They could have put me on the podcast. Oh, fucking MGTOW for life. That's why I tell you, because MGTOW. I don't need these bitches, man. Me and we don't need those holes in this hood. We just a MGTOW, man. We just stick a straight up MGTOW. Fucking shit. I don't need this shit, man. I got my own channel. Fuck. I'm out.